The evening sky burned orange as the bell from St. Emmanuel's Church echoed through the sleepy town of Ijebuod. The air smelled of rain and dust, the kind of evening when secrets whisper to the wind and fate quietly rearranges lives. Pastor Samuel Adiemi was known across the state as a man of holiness and strict discipline. His sermons thundered from the pulpit every Sunday, words that made sinners tremble and saints nod in solemn agreement. His only daughter, Ruth, was the jewel of his home, beautiful, intelligent, obedient, and raised under the shadow of prayer. Everyone in the congregation knew her as Daddy Gio's angel, but angels too sometimes longed to taste the world beyond the clouds. Scene 1, the meeting. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon after choir practice. Ruth had stayed behind to lock the church instruments when she saw him, Emeka, the boy from the street. He was leaning against the church fence, his hands dusty, his clothes worn, and his eyes filled with the kind of pain only poverty could teach. "Do you have any water?" he asked, his voice cracked but soft. Ruth hesitated. Her father's voice echoed in her head, "Avoid the company of street boys. They are wolves in sheep's clothing." Yet something about Emeka's eyes disarmed her. She handed him a bottle from her bag. "Thank you," he said, smiling faintly. "You must be the pastor's daughter." She frowned, unsure how he knew. "Everyone knows you," he added, chuckling. "You walk like light, but your eyes, they look lonely." His words unsettled her. That night, she couldn't stop thinking about the boy from the street. Scene 2, whispers of the forbidden days past. Ruth saw Emeka often fixing church chairs, carrying firewood for the widows, sometimes just standing by the fence, waiting. He had no family, no home. He slept behind the mechanic workshop, surviving by fixing broken radios and washing cars. But he carried something most people didn't hope. One day, Ruth brought him bread wrapped in paper. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "And yet you came," he said, his smile both teasing and thankful. They began to meet more often secretly, behind the church garden. Conversations became laughter, laughter became closeness. And closeness became something deeper, something neither of them dared to name. Scene 3, the secret discovered. The pastor's wife, Mama Ruth, noticed the change first. Ruth's prayers became shorter, her eyes often lost in thought. One evening, Pastor Samuel returned early from a revival program. From the balcony, he saw his daughter sitting by the church fence with the same boy he had once warned her about. He froze. The sight stabbed him like betrayal. "Ruth," he thundered. Emeka jumped to his feet, startled. Ruth's heart raced as she faced her father's fury. "Is this what you do when I preach holiness? You disgrace me before heaven and man," he shouted, his voice echoing through the compound. Tears filled Ruth's eyes. "Papa, it's not what you think. He's silenced," he barked. "You will never see him again. This boy has bewitched you." He turned to Emeka, eyes blazing. "If I ever see you near my daughter again, you will taste the wrath of God through me." Scene 4, the fall. Ruth was locked in her room for days. No phone, no church, no contact. Emeka, desperate and broken, wrote her a letter and slipped it through her window one night. "I may be from the street, but my love for you is clean. They see dirt when they look at me. You saw a human. If loving you is sin, then let God judge my heart." She found Emeka near the bridge where they first met. They embraced, crying into each other's arms. "I can't go back," she said. "I can't live a lie anymore." "We'll leave," he whispered. "We'll start somewhere new." And they did, or at least they tried. Scene 5, the world's cruel lessons. City life was crueler than either of them imagined. They found a tiny room in a crowded ghetto. Ruth took a job at a small clinic. Emeka washed cars and sometimes sang at bus stops for tips. But dreams don't feed stomachs. Hunger began to bite, and so did regret. One night, after weeks of struggling, Ruth fainted at work. Her employer called her father, whose number she had left as next of kin. Pastor Samuel arrived with tears in his eyes. He hadn't seen his daughter in months. When he saw her frail frame on the hospital bed, his anger melted into heartbreak. "Papa," she whispered weakly, "I didn't want to shame you. I just wanted to live my own truth." The pastor broke down. "My daughter, love is not sin, but sometimes timing is the test." Scene 6, redemption. Weeks later, Ruth returned home, this time with Emeka by her side. Her father, now humbled by grace, opened the church doors to the boy he once despised. Emeka knelt before him. "Sir, I have no name, no wealth, but I have honesty. I only ever wanted to be worthy of your daughter." Pastor Samuel placed his hand on his head and said quietly, "Then start by walking the path of righteousness, not for her, but for yourself." Months passed. Emeka found purpose as the church's new youth coordinator, helping other young men from the streets find direction. Ruth went back to her studies. One Sunday morning, the congregation watched as Pastor Samuel preached on the altar. His voice was softer than ever. "We are all prodigal in some way," he said, "but the God who forgives our wandering hearts is the same God who turns shame into testimony." His eyes met his daughter's. She smiled through tears. Beside her, Emeka bowed his head not as a street boy anymore, but as a man redeemed by love and grace. Final scene that night, Ruth recorded. A short message for her viewers on YouTube. Sometimes love doesn't come in the package we expect. It comes from the broken, the lost, the ones society throws away. But true love teaches you to forgive, to rebuild, and to believe again. She looked straight into the camera and smiled warmly. If this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more real, emotional, and thought-provoking stories that mirror life itself. Until next time, keep your heart pure and your faith strong. The screen fades to black, text on screen. The pastor's daughter and the boy from the street, a story about love, judgment, and redemption. Subscribe for more inspiring African stories.